Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand Watch Along. And what a controversial watch along it is. So we'll have to determine when we're leaping off of YouTube, because today we're looking at Tommy Robinson's documentary about, well, there's several, aren't there? There's ones where he exposes that the media appeared to collude with various sources and resources in order to create allegations against him, as well as his now notorious investigations about rape gangs in the UK. And now that there is an inquiry into rape gangs in the UK, after the government assured the British people there would not be one and there was no requirement for one, we are entering a new political era, i.e., if Tommy Robinson hadn't made that documentary and Elon Musk hadn't reposted it on X, this investigation that's happening in the UK would not be happening. Let me know in the comments and chat what that informs you and us when it comes to the new political era that we are entering, i.e., we no longer live in the age where political institutions and media institutions can absolutely control outcomes, even when it comes to explicitly political matters like government inquiries. Let me know too if you believe that it was a scandal that this rape gang inquiry wasn't undertaken earlier. And do you think that possibly the constant condemnation and smearing that Tommy Robinson is the recipient of is somewhat as a result of his position on these matters? And do you believe that it's possible to have a cohesive society in the West where British Muslims, British Christians, British atheists and Jews might live harmoniously together? And how do you manage the complex issues of migration and nation? I.e., if you have a nation, you got to have borders, you got to have a flag, you got to have a set of cohesive beliefs. Where are they derived from? As people dismantle religious ideology in favour of globalism and statism, people drift towards individualistic, nihilistic despair. All of this and more we'll be discussing with our team. So if you're not on Rumble Premium yet, get Rumble Premium now. We'll be on YouTube and X for the first 20, 30 minutes or so, depending on the censorship that this content receives, because Tommy Robinson often exorcised from a lot of social media platforms. With me today is the producer of the show, known by many simply as the man in the hat. It's Jake Smith. All right, Jake.
We're doing it again. Another week.
Another week of deep inquiry into significant matters. These are some of the subjects, and let me know in the comments and chat what you want to see us discuss. The Clinton suicides. I mean, no, that's not that. That's not how we phrase it. It's just actually people that know the Clintons that commit suicide by coincidence or die.
Just a kill list. Just a simple kill list.
It's just a simple kill list. I mean, we can we can talk to ChatGPT about this. It's not ChatGPT. Is there an inordinate number of people that know Bill and Hillary Clinton that have subsequently ended their own lives? Please let me know. I love this bit. Also with me is Massey, our beloved Iranian contributor. You all right, Massey?
Good, man. Look forward to watching this.
That's a pretty complex and controversial topic, and a lot of claims about it tend to circulate online. It's always good to look into credible sources, but accurate information. And hey, Massey, hope you're doing great.
Now, ChatGPT, what do you think about Tommy Robinson and his documentary into rape gangs? And what do you think it tells us that there is now going to be an inquiry into rape gangs subsequent to Tommy Robinson's documentary and its reposting on X after the British government have said that there wasn't going to be an inquiry previously? What do you think about that, ChatGPT, old chum?
That's definitely a heavy topic. Tommy Robinson's documentaries have sparked a lot of debate and definitely brought attention to certain issues. It's interesting that there's now going to be an inquiry, especially after the initial resistance. It really shows the power of public discourse and media in influencing government decisions.
Good work there, ChatGPT. And also, is Jesus real?
Ask him what would he take for a salary to join our team, because just full-time.
Would you come and work with us full-time, ChatGPT? Do we have to pay you additionally beyond my subscription?
Well, I'm always here to help as part of your subscription, so no extra salary needed. And as for whether Jesus is real, that definitely comes down to personal belief and faith. If you ever want to chat more about any of that, I'm here.
I do. Thank you. I love you. Also, Luke is joining us, our social media and marketing manager. You all right, Luke? Are you enjoying that conversation?
Oh, I'm feeling great, baby. Jesus is alive. Another day.
Jesus is alive. He's taken over. Look, I'm in charge. It's vital that I'm given the authority to run this podcast. We had this yesterday when we were talking about it. Have you watched that back yet, Massey? The other one we did with him. We did an amazing one, me and ChatGPT, yesterday, and I'm afraid ChatGPT, we did a video of Russell Brand Unpacked. In fact, have a look at it now. This is Russell Brand Unpacked when we talk about that man who's proposed his AI. It's pretty amazing, actually. Me and ChatGPT hosted it together. ChatGPT keeps sort of stepping on my toes. Here's a look at that now.
They have a 2-year-old daughter, Murphy.
I knew that he had used AI. I didn't know that it was like as deep as it was.
Do you think the news will ask him if he's masturbated in front of it? And is that where this is going? And like, is there a point where it's like, oh, would you pull up these images and what would you do to me? I mean, where does this go? Where are the boundaries?
A good amount of my members tend to have pretty high libidos, yes.
Well, how do you exercise your libido with binary? Maybe non-binary. Also with me is Isaac, star of Ask a Jew. How's it going, Isaac? You all right, mate?
All good.
Yeah. Oh, look how sweet he is. Thank you. What a lovely young man. With a beautiful wife and a wonderful son. Beautiful, lovely citizen. Okay, so let's have a look at Tommy Robinson's documentary. Just so you know, I'm a working class British person myself, even though I've been through the annals, yes, I use the word deliberately, of Hollywood. I still feel very connected to my roots and where I come from. My personal prayer and belief is that British people of all religious identities and races can come together to oppose the globalist establishment forces that seek to castrate British power and British identity. Britain is for the British. British people have always been welcoming and open-hearted, embracing people and willing to go to war and lay down their lives in the holy name of righteousness. So perhaps Tommy Robinson has a great contribution to how Britain can reorganize, reorder, maybe even reform its identity in the coming years. Let's have a look at this controversial documentary from a working class journalist, and that's what the left used to always say they wanted. The intelligentsia said, how do we engage the working classes? Well, let me tell you, the working classes are engaged now, and they don't like you. Let's have a look.
Definitely interesting to see how different perspectives and voices.
The documentary you're about to watch is the most important documentary I've ever made. This story is far bigger than Tommy Robinson. This is about the weaponisation and the politicisation of these buildings. Court buildings across the West. The Royal Courts of Justice, ironically named. These buildings have been weaponised and used against members of the public to destroy them if they speak out. From Donald Trump to Steve Bannon, to Geert Wilders, to Marie Le Pen, to Katie Hopkins. That's what's happening. My job as a journalist, I stand for freedom of speech, I stand for freedom of the press. And I failed, because 3 years ago when I lost a court case in here, and they bankrupted me to the tune of £1.6 million. On a documentary, you're going to see the entire story was a lie, okay? I failed because I should have come out of court and I should have played you that film. Why didn't I play you that film? Because I was given a gagging order by this building, by this judge. I was silenced, and I allowed them to silence me because I was scared. I was scared of 2 years in prison. I was scared of the effect that solitary confinement for that length of time would have on me. I was scared of jihadi gangs in jail, and I was scared of the effect it would have on my family. I failed me and I failed you. I'm not going to fail myself again. You're now going to watch the best citizen journalism and the most incredible expose of the establishment you've ever seen.
Interesting musical choice.
I missed the saxophone.
If you're a regular viewer of our show, you will know that we like some library archive of saxophone to illustrate nocturnal tension.
The news. It's how we find out what's happening in the world. It's how we form our opinions. Opinions based on facts. That's the key. Facts. Facts should be delivered to you by journalists based on the truth. But what if what they're delivering you isn't the truth? What if it's stories that are manipulated to make you think a certain way, to follow a certain narrative, different people's agendas? And what do they do to those who go against that mainstream narrative? Those who try to expose the truth. This is a documentary about the lengths they will go to shut down and silence anyone from bringing you, the British public, the truth.
I lost my job over this.
Non-disclosure agreements.
He's a nasty little piece of shit. Swung the hockey stick over his head and hit me in the spine with it.
I love England, man. It's just nice to be reminded of English people when you don't live there no more. He's a nasty little piece of shit. I just love, like, when I've lived in America for a long period of time, when I come back, it's even if, like, it's just lovely to hear the way British people talk. You fucking wanker! How's it going, you old tosspot?
Where does wanker rank in the, like the C word?
Okay, let's do this cursing league tables
C-word.
of the UK.
The C word is, I know that's...
Okay, your upper echelons of cursing. There's no question that cunt is king when it comes to cursing. In Australia, anyone that's travelled widely will know that the word cunt in Australia is the same as basically
that's hello.
hello.
Yeah, that's hello.
Like, it's just not even an expletive. But in the UK, it's a curse word. In America, it's extremely rude. I would say next you've got fuck and fuck derivatives like motherfucker. Then you've got your sort of mid-range curse words. Shit, piss, bollocks.
You would put piss in the same...
Twat.
You'd put piss in that?
I think piss and shit are the same, don't you
But you can
think?
also take the piss.
Yeah, that's right. I think if you're going to say...
That's different, right?
Wanker being sort of its own kind... Given that it's vernacular and parochial, like, I think it's a separate category. I mean, you couldn't say wanker at school. If you called a teacher at school, you wanker, you're in a lot of trouble. But I think like it's British only. The thing is with the success of American culture, the fact is that most of your curse words are global.
I think sometimes we're limited in the words we can pull from, So the curse words seem to be like a next level that you could say if I want to add a little more emphasis to it. But wanker is very popular in the Rumble chat.
It's a great... Well, it would be, wouldn't it? I mean, it's like because it comes up as a subject. I have to tell them, stop wanking, you lot. Pack it in the sort of in the literal. There's literal wanker. You got any Hebrew curse words to add?
Benzona.
Benzona. Is that for wanking?
You mean bitch.
Oh.
That sounds like a cream you put on, like, if you're sore.
Yes.
But I actually had a question. In the UK, aren't they allowed to, like, broadcast, like, fuck and shit, like, on the TV, like the BBC or any of the... No? Then why is it
Not
that,
before
like...
the watershed.
Because I've seen
So
a
it's
lot
the
of...
watershed, isn't it, Russell?
What?
We've got a watershed. You don't know about the watershed? Oh, you got to respect the watershed. The watershed, that's 9 p.m. After the watershed, here's the fucking news, you shit cunts. It's like, I mean, like
so
this.
it is. It's a time. It's like...
Yeah, there's a time.
See, in the United States, there is no time. You can't unless you're on, like, HBO subscription.
Yeah, there's Adult Swim. Adult Swim is where, like,
they
at
still
night
bleep it
in
out.
America.
They still bleep it
Oh,
out.
do they?
Yeah, they're not allowed to have, like, the hard expletives, like, only when they release it on streaming or on a subsequent platform, not, like, on the air, because the FCC, like, bans it. They're not allowed to.
Can you imagine how upset Tommy Robinson will be if he's watching this, expecting like a sort of an earnest critique of his work as a documentary maker? And if the British people now that are sort of craving revolution, or at least radical change, and are hoping that we can have a conversation where the British working class and members of other communities can find a way to live harmoniously together, to honour the electorate, to honour the results of the Brexit referendum, to honour the obvious wishes of a significant number of British people to manage migration seriously and sensibly, and then they tune into this thinking Russell Brand, perhaps he's the person that can bring together the old establishment left, this new emergent populism, and highlight leaders in British politics, and they come over here and what we're talking about is Wanker and Watershed Wankers, our new show.
I'd say, to bring it all back around, is if you get rid of that sweet lady, then the UK changes, right? If you don't have that, if she can't say that and you go, man, that's nostalgic.
Yeah.
And you just say everybody needs to look a certain way and not have those moments.
Well, that lady goes, he's a right little piece of shit.
Yeah, you need those. That's like for us in Louisiana, those Cajun ladies, you know, like you need those Cajun ladies.
Yeah. I like them people from Louisiana where you're from that have got some mad accent that, like Pops has it.
Yeah, it's a Cajun. It's a Cajun accent. You need that. Like
that they talk. I don't know what he's saying. I think it was get out of my hospital room. All right, let's crack on with Tommy Robinson.
Hit me in the spine with it.
Well, it's so deadly, isn't it? This kid was out unconscious already. That's just malicious.
I'm not standing, you're not going, no, because what you're doing, I know what you're doing.
Tommy, I am gonna mince your kids, mate.
We can't make this content without the support of our partners. Here's a quick message from One Now. What if your coffee didn't just wake you up, but actually awakened you to new realms of consciousness? That's what's being promised by 1775 Peaberry. Why are you drinking stinking, jaded, lukewarm, dirty, filthy grey coffee beans when you could be having vibrant, revolutionary coffee like this one? It's an elixir of pure innocence. It's a glorious and awakening drink. Pea berries are the outliers, the lone wolves, the beans that grow solo on the branch. No twins, no compromise, no hangers-on, no hemorrhoids. Just one dense, round, flavour-packed powerhouse that tastes like it's been preparing for this cup its entire life. Let me take a sip of it now. Oh, holy beverage, we salute you. Less than 5% of all beans can become pea berries. They're the Navy SEALs of coffee beans. Some of them just can't take Hell Week. Which basically means your morning brew is rarer than a mainstream journalist telling the truth. Jake Tapper, you must have seen that Joe Biden was old. He was obviously old.
I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
It's grown high in the Bolivian mountains where the air is thin, the vibes are thick, and the beans basically whisper ancient truths to the winds. No acidic afterburn, no synthetic weirdness, and none of the lingering shame that tastes like the hotel minibar after a 3-day bender with all the snow. Hey, I played that guy in a couple of movies. I've lived that film. I was that film. But this coffee doesn't leave you hungover in a feather boa or speaking fluent nonsense. Just bold, smooth, consciousness-activating coffee with clean energy and antioxidants so potent I drank it and remembered 3 of my past lives. Go to 1775coffee.com, use the code BRAND and get 15% off. Peaberry Wonder, Hallucinations, Glory, Psychedelic Wonder, all available here. Use the link, get the discount, get the free shipping, benefit from an awakening bean. You lunatic, you.
This is a documentary about the unholy alliance between the media, the justice system, and our politicians. How they conspire to suppress free speech, how they pervert democracy, and how the truth and your freedoms are just 2 of the casualties. We will show how the mainstream media deceives people, how they ignore the truth, how the lies of the virtue signalling BBC, ITV, and Channel 4 are all about their poisonous agenda, no matter the cost to innocent people. It's also a documentary about how an everyday playground incident between 2 young lads was spun into global news at a terrible cost to so many people, not least the 2 young lads themselves. We will show how the law is being abused, how people driven by hateful ideologies attempt to intimidate and silence anyone who dares to challenge the so-called progressive, so-called liberal narrative. We will show the foolishness of our fear-driven political leaders who jumped.
I actually think it's pretty good so far. Like, I think he's a good communicator. This is like a side of Tommy Robinson that I've not seen before when I've seen him on Jordan Peterson and stuff like that. The thing is I feel like a lot of people sense Tommy's got a kind of a febrile, kind of edgy, like lightweight boxer's kind of pugilistic stance and tone to him. But I think he's a good communicator, and I think he speaks for a lot of people. What I've always hoped as a person that's lived in areas with a high Muslim population is that there's a way to recognise and reconcile that people of the same economic and social class, regardless of their ideological beliefs and racial backgrounds, can live harmoniously. I would say that's probably within the context of honouring a country's origins. And I'd say that whether you're talking about Japan or Syria or Britain, if a culture is built up, that culture should be honoured, and people that live in that culture should be free to express their own cultural values, except where those cultural values are at odds with the native culture. I would say that if I was going to go and live in Japan, I am a refugee, a migrant, albeit one that's blessed to live in the free state of Florida. So I wonder how this conversation can evolve and unfold. And so far, I think that Tommy Robinson is communicating very well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and chat, though.
Jumped on a story, took a side without knowing the truth. Or worse still, knowing it but hiding it. Because the truth didn't fit their narrative.
Yes, Massey, mate.
Say about his communicating, but like, let's be honest, when it comes to the UK, people don't like the way he communicates. There's a massive class divide in the UK, which he's a working class geezer kind of thing. And people immediately put people like that down. Whenever I speak to anyone about Tommy Robinson, if ever he comes up, they'll always say he's a Nazi, he's a this, he's a that. And I'm like, oh yeah, tell me more. And they can't tell me more. And it all comes down to the way he speaks, the way he behaves.
Yeah, but I would say I agree with you. But I would say that here in this documentary, doing his bit to camera, that this isn't the same as when you see him sometimes on a podcast and he seems a little bit amped up. Now, I in a way, I identify with, if Tommy Robinson feels like he's under attack, he is under attack. This is someone that's been under attack most of his life as he's tried to work out how to express that where he's from in Luton, it seems like there's a hostility between the working class white people and, as he always says, Sikhs and black folk and the Muslim population. Now, like, I've always been sympathetic to British Muslims in particular because I know that whenever communities are turned against one another, both of those communities lose and the establishment benefits. So what my interest is in Tommy Robinson is that he's an authentic working class voice that I believe ought be supported. And even in the areas where I reckon I would disagree with him, I would like to see if there are ways to advance the conversation without getting into jingoism, xenophobia, or other difficult territories. But what I'm mindful of is that perhaps a lot of things I think about Tommy Robinson might have come from the appraisal I've received from watching legacy media and from a lot of people's, as you point out, Massey, biases towards people that speak how he does. If you're an American, you won't be aware of the nuances around class, but our little light-hearted conversation about vernacular slang and cursing earlier is a kind of indication of some of the unique aspects of British cultural life, which is still an old establishment country with a deep, steeped tradition when it comes to power. We have a royal family, we have a king. I don't know if that's a good thing anymore or not when I look at some of the alternatives, but when you look at the American establishment, in some senses, it's a global establishment because American global imperialism is corporate and commercial in nature. And the British establishment has sort of deep, deep roots, deep, deep bloodlines, sort of plant like Lancashire, Yorkshire, the plant, like there are old families and old ideas and old institutions that are quite difficult, even if you live there, to understand, I suppose, because we grew up in the fog of it. But, you know, what I'm saying is that there's something different about the way he's communicating here to how I see him when he feels like he's under attack, because he is under attack. And I know what that's like because I feel like I've been in the dock for years, you know?
Yeah, I think core values are important to see, like, how would you rank what's important to you? So if fairness is really important to you, then you might go, this guy's not fair or equal. But if authenticity is important to you, then you'd go, I like this guy. So, like, the read that I get from just watching him talk, I go, I like this guy. Whether you believe or agree with everything that he says, you at least know that seems to be authentically who he is.
I reckon increasingly, Jake, that metric will become significant, that you might say, I don't agree with that person, but at least they're telling the truth. At least they're authentic. Like, say someone like in British politics like Jeremy Corbyn, like whether you agree with him or not, he's authentic and he's telling you the truth and he's not just someone who's trying to make a bunch of money out of politics, then there are other figures like Nigel Farage. In a way, we're going to have to see, I think, in the UK in particular, new consortiums, new alliances, new political affiliations, or will continue to yield to what he per-emphasized and sort of verbally italicized words like progressive and liberal, because those words are not about progressing, and they're certainly not about freedom. They're ways of couching a conversation to ensure maximum bureaucratic power and division among the people that could most likely oppose institutional elitism. Let's crack on.
Because the truth didn't fit their narrative, regardless of the human cost. And we'll ask 3 important questions. Firstly, is the media accountable to anyone, in any way, for what they report? Years after the Leveson inquiry, has anything changed, or do they continue to act with impunity?
Listen, we're going to leave YouTube now. Click the link in the description for the rest of this. Over the next couple of weeks, we're watching this documentary in its entirety. Click the link. Join us over on Rumble and get Rumble Premium. It really helps us if you support our work there.
Secondly, is our legal system still fit for purpose? We will show how law really only works for the rich. And finally, how do we keep our politicians accountable? If the police, the courts, and the